All right, let's talk about two of the upcoming quarterfinal games. Pick Six is brought to you by our great partner, BetMGM. Place your money line, prop parlay, and same-game parlay bets at BetMGM. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly. Again, these are early lines in right now, but Texas, guys, a heavy favorite in the Peach Bowl. They are favored by almost 2 touchdowns, 13.5 points over. How can you disrespect our main guy, Cam Scattaboo and Arizona State? Scattaboo. But Texas, a big favorite heading into Atlanta, Mark.
Guess who? Our boy Scattaboo. I want Scattaboo to bar, man, but
I do too.
They got an uphill battle, man. Texas, we talked about the line of scrimmage, how they are offensive line, defensive line. One of the most two of the most physical units in the nation. I got Texas covering this one, man, and they've been playing well. They had a convincing win over Clemson, who I feel probably would beat the Arizona State team, possibly. You know what I mean? So I got Texas covering this one, man. They haven't been playing. Quinn has been struggling with his health, and he's gonna get going, man. I just have this.
Got to get that ankle healthy, right? That big old brace that was kind of they tried to hide it up the other day.
Yeah, man, with the spat, he's just not looking like himself right now, and they're still finding ways to dominate, win games. They're running the football. Trey Wisner, they're obviously on defense. They're physical, flying around, causing havoc, creating turnovers. So Sark and this team, I think they're just too much of a match for Arizona State. I hope our boy Cam Scattaboo has a big game, but I just don't think it'll be enough to be able to keep up with Texas. I got Texas covering in this game.
I agree with you 100%. We won 3 national titles, and the reason we won is the line of scrimmage. 06, 08, and 14. At the end of the day, that's because once again, as you start to get higher, the more competitive the games are, a lot of times the skill set, unless you just have an absolute freak of freaks, skill sets a lot of times start to equalize a little bit. The line of scrimmage, because it's going to be a field position game, Texas up front, offense, defense, I think they cover the spread. And I think I'm looking at Texas right now. If they can get that quarterback healthy, what other team has more balanced offensive and defensive line than University of Texas right now? They proved it against Clemson. They just they screwed around a little bit. That game could have got out of hand fast.
Yeah.
But they ran the ball up and down against, Clemson.
200-yard rushers.
Yeah, so I got Texas covering the spread here, and I'm a big fan. You think what the coach did at Dillingham and Scattaboo, just a big fan, and it's a great future there. But I think they're running it a buzzsaw with Texas.
Texas back-to-back 12-win seasons. First time they did that since 08-09. Arizona seeking just their second ever 12-win season. They did it back in 1975. Coach, real quick, a reaction to this. Sark, before the playoffs started, asked, why he thought Texas could win a national title. He said 2 reasons: depth and versatility.
I like it. Yeah, that's first of all, depth will matter once again as it gets more rugged, which it's about to get real rugged on them. And I'm not sure what he means by versatility. I'd have to look that up. And does that mean the ability to be creative and run and pass?
Ability to play against other type of teams? Yeah, I'm not really sure either, but he liked it.
All I know is you got 4 guys on the D line with some depth, probably 8 guys they can rotate in there, and I love their offensive line. I watched that one now. They were coming off that ball, man. I
think he means the versatility in the ways they could win the game.
Yeah,
just different ways they could win the game. A physical battle, running the football, throwing the football, defensive struggle. I think he means the team is versatile in ways they could win games, but they haven't been tested. Their schedule hasn't been great. We talk about schedule, strength of schedule. Who have you played?
2 losses to Georgia.
Yes. Yep. The 2 teams they played that were, the one team, they got A&M, but yeah, they haven't had a great schedule either. So we'll see.
Talking about the line of Ohio State on the offensive side, really impressive. They had been maligned for much of the year. They took some heat against Oregon when those guys met early in the season back in October. Again, another rematch here, Ohio State and Oregon at the Rose Bowl. It's the Buckeyes favored by 1.5. I think one of the things that maybe, Coach, people aren't talking about enough or giving enough praise to is that offensive line and how they showed up and balled against Tennessee. They were taking some shots at them after the loss to the team up north, but they responded. They gave Howard plenty of time. The running backs were able to do what they are supposed to do and why they are there. And if that offensive line, and I know the whole unit of the Buckeyes, if they can play that way, then you have to think, wow, there might be another national title coming to Columbus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, two things. When I was at the game at Ohio State, and it was I think it was 42-10. Mark, it wasn't that close.
Yeah.
There was never really a threat. I know they came within, I think, 10 points or something.
At the half, it was like 21-10 or something. That was the closest.
Yeah, but it was as a guy, I stood on the sideline for a little bit, and I was a little bit shocked because I thought Tennessee would control the line of scrimmage. They didn't at all. There was very little pressure on Will Howard. So number one is the offense line did play well. This will be a different animal. I think the defense coordinator, I've said this many times, Tosh Luploy, is one of the best I've been around. He's had several weeks now to get ready for them. He'll have some new stuff. Remember, they had 10 sacks against Washington. Very good players and an excellent scheme, and he's one of the great motivators I've seen. So I think, again, the point spread I'd put at 0.
Yes.
I think this is an even game. I think if prior to the Tennessee game, Oregon would have been favored. So I think Vegas is playing around here. I put 0. I think Ohio
0.
State.
I love Coach putting 0 down, by the way.
Was shocked by the speed at the receiver when they first played Oregon.
Yeah,
Think now it's probably been 2 years. Certainly this year, they haven't faced anything close to Oregon's receivers. And when I was watching the game, they were running right by Ohio State's corners, right by them and their safeties. This is the advantage of playing a team again, and I told you how I'd handle it. The defensive backs at Ohio State would not face another scout team receiver the rest of 2024, whatever it is, because you can't get shocked. They were shocked by that speed, and the corners will be playing against Mecca, Carnell Tate, and Jeremiah Smith this whole week of practice up until the game. So I have Ohio State as a walk-off winning, but I think it's going to be it'll be a classic.
All right, so you got Ohio State winning and covering.
I'm sorry, BetMGM. It's BetUM. It's Bet Urban Meyer. That spread is 0.
Right,
that
Coach is making lines now.
Yeah.
That 0 is so good.
But Coach is right, though. That spread is even as it should be, man, because
what a great
Oregon
game that's gonna be.
Oregon is for real, man. We talk about Jordan James in the run game. We talk about the explosive receivers they have on the outside. Dylan Gabriel, his experience in this defense, man. They're going to find a way. They're going to heat Will Howard up and see if he can handle pressure. They're going to bring pressure. They're going to see if this O-line, they're going to see if Will Howard can handle pressure and adapt to it. But what Ohio State was able to do versus Tennessee, man, it really impressed me. They got the ball to Travion Henderson. He had 8 yards to carry. He had over 50 yards receiving. They got the ball to Jeremiah Smith. They got the ball to Emeka Egbuka. So they got the ball into the hands of their playmakers, and that settled Will Howard down because he was extremely efficient. The one turnover he had was a freak interception in the end zone. This defense is playing well. Ever since that Ohio Oregon game, they've developed pressure packages to get pressure on Dylan Gabriel, to get pressure on the quarterbacks. So they have been improving. And what have they done when they've had their most trials and tribulations this season? After Oregon, they responded and got better. After Michigan, they responded and got better. I think those 2 losses put this team in the right mind frame, and I think it's going to be a close, tough battle, but I think Ohio State finds a way to win this game, man. I think they find a way to win this game. I think they have a lot of playmakers offensively and defensively, as does Oregon. This is going to be a straight-up dogfight. The football game that we all deserve as college football fans. We're going to get it in this game, but I got it being a walk-off field goal. Like Coach said, whoever has the ball last, I think it's going to be Ohio State, and I think they're going to get the W.
Ohio State kicking game has not been their strength by any stretch of the imagination this season. 1.5-point spread. And again, we flash back to October 12th, where the Ducks did a great service, probably looking forward to Ohio State and giving them some things to really self-scout and figure out.
Yep.
And that was a turning point for Ohio State when they lost in Eugene by 1 point because the clock ended before Will Howard could get down, and Ohio State could try that walk-off field goal. Who knows if they'll have another opportunity to do that. Again, these lines are going to fluctuate, but the early numbers are in. We're going to pick 2 quarterfinal games right now. We're going to start with the Fiesta Bowl. Penn State, Boise State, the Nittany Lions sitting there as the number 6 seed, a favorite mark by 10 points over the Boise State Broncos. 10-point spread in favor of the Nittany Lions. Does that feel right? Too big? Too small?
I think it's the right number.
I agree.
And I think they're going to cover. Penn State. Listen, man, like I still got questions about Penn State, right? But at the end of the day, I think the difference will be the quarterback play. When you get to these moments, I keep saying this, Stone, your quarterback, you have to have a guy at the quarterback position. And I just will lean Penn State in this game. Obviously, Boise State with Ashton Jeanty. They have their hands full. He went for 197 yards on Oregon earlier this year, so they are very much capable. But at the end of the day, the quarterback battle, I think that's the difference. And I'm not saying I believe all the way in Drew Aller, but I believe in him more than I do Maston for Boise State. So I think I got Penn State covering this one because of their defense. I think they're going to swarm. I think they're going to try to load up the box, stop Ashton Jeanty. I think they're going to put pressure on Maston, make him make a lot of decisions, put him in tough predicaments. So I think they're going to be ready to roll, and I think I got Penn State covering in this one.
Yeah, common sense tells you Penn State will cover. The problem is I just
Common
keep going
sense.
back. How many players at Boise State were recruited by Penn State? And I always go back to, mano a mano, especially up front. And the reality is that I've watched Boise State. You take Jeanty out, I'm not sure how good they are. And Genty's a freaking manster, and he had one opportunity against a big dog, and that was Oregon, and he did it. However, I just think this game will be extremely close at halftime, like really close. And I think the wear and tear on the big dogs up front by Penn State on offensive and defensive line will wear them out. And by the time the fourth quarter games, I think they'll cover. But it won't be until the fourth quarter because I think they'll just wear them out a little bit.
Coach,
big bodies leaning on big bodies eventually give in in the fourth quarter.
In your days when you had to neutralize a running back, right? And we know Boise State is built on the run game of Ashton Jeanty. What are some of the quick little things that you would do defensively that you're going to say to yourself, guys, this guy, number whoever, is not going to beat us?
Yeah, there's two things. There's one, you can stop the run game. And now, unless the guy, BYOB, can just break tackles, which Jeanty can.
Which he does,
He will have extra people. There will be one extra person, and they'll play one high the entire game. Penn State will. They're going to stop. They're going to force Boise to throw the football. However, everybody's done that. And this kid's that good that you see him, his post-contact yard mark, you gave us a stat
1,800 yards.
It's ridiculous.
More than any other runner in the country.
However, Penn State, on paper, has a much better player tackling them other than Oregon, on paper. So the number one thing is you put an extra hat in a box. The number two thing is line movement. And that's, you try to discombobulate the offensive line of Boise State. How do you do that? You do movement. Yeah. And they've had some time to prepare for this one. I tell you what, Penn State's been working on Jeanty for a month now. They've had someone else in the back room as they're getting ready for SMU. They've been working on this one. So they're going to have a pretty good scheme.
What Penn State does really well, they run 11 players to the ball. When you have a runner who breaks tackles, you swarm the football. You run 11 people to the football. Get him down because he is going to break tackles. But when he does break the tackle, you have to have another person hitting him right away.
I agree,
swarming the football, 11 people running to the football will be paramount for this Penn State defense. But that's what they're built on. They run high energy. They run to the football, 11 people to the ball, playing with their hair on fire. So they'll be prepared for this game. They'll be prepared for this opportunity. But I do want to see Jeanty ball, though. I do want to see Jeanty ball. I do want to see Jeanty go crazy.
I think the neutral fan is thinking the same thing. I want to see this kid at a quote-unquote underprivileged university compared to the Penn States of the world and the Georgias and the Notre Dames. A little small, tiny upstart program like Boise State.
I'm not a whole believer in Penn State, though. I'm not a
I know,
whole believer.
And nobody is, and they're not going to be a big believer in Penn State and James Franklin until they get by a Notre Dame or Georgia in the semifinals. That's the only way they can calm that narrative down. And again, Boise State going back to the Fiesta Bowl 18 years after that historic game against Oklahoma. Again, the one theme of the 4 first-round playoff games, the 4 winners all won the line of scrimmage, and it wasn't even close. And all the coaches said that's where we won the game. So it'll be curious to see who wins that line of scrimmage. Penn State clearly seems to have the advantage in that one. Let's pivot now to the Sugar Bowl, Notre Dame and Georgia. Of the teams that had buys, okay, only Georgia is a favorite right now. of the 4 teams that got buys, only Georgia's favored, and they're barely favored. Coach, the Bulldogs favored right now in the Sugar Bowl by 1.5 points over Notre Dame.
I'll tell you, Vegas is amazing. And I stare at these point spreads, and I think they're right on. I mean, they're right on. My question is, and it will be until they play talent equated. I use that term because I would use it with our players. This is a talent equated game. Notre Dame should have the same players because they recruit against each other. Georgia probably has a little bit better roster for the NFL draft because they normally do. However, Notre Dame, how is the players going to respond when they see a high draft pick across from them? Because they've not seen that, Rob. They've not. One time, and that was 3 months ago. And they won the game at Texas A&M. But the rest of the season, imagine that, Mark. Imagine you playing 12 or 13 games where you know that guy trying to attack you is not as good as you. And that's the reality of the hierarchy of college football. Yep. So I think the point spread's right. You're asking me to pick. I don't know. I don't know enough about Notre Dame. They're great. The coaches, I love the dude. Everything's great what they've done so far. But the guys they are blocking, they've been better than. Mm-hmm. Other than one time, and that was 3 months ago. So I'm anxious to see. Where Georgia, on the other hand, they played probably 4 teams that have the same type of dudes that they have. Maybe 5 teams.
They play that A&M team, and they have some good defensive linemen. A&M, Nick Scorton. We know about their pass rusher, and they were able to kind of neutralize that and get that win.
A
very long time ago. But the key for Georgia would be Gunnar Stockton. Coach, you said you had to deal with a third string quarterback. Coach, what's the difference between a quarterback having to get thrown in the game at halftime as opposed to preparing as a starter for 2 or 3 weeks?
Night and day.
Yes.
Night and day. He's getting all the reps of practice.
Exactly. So I think Gunnar Stockton will be prepared. I think he was efficient in his first matchup coming in relief duty for Carson Beck. Trevor Etienne will be a key. And the physicality of that defense. I think all of those things is going to be a problem for Notre Dame. But the main thing is these receivers who have some of the most drops in the country, can they make plays to help out their backup quarterback? Because they will have to. They will have to. But Notre Dame, man, they're as advertised on defense. They run around physical. They get tackles for loss. They're great on the back end. They run the football with Jeremiah Love, Riley Leonard, Gunnar Stockton. Riley Leonard, Gunnar Stockton. At this point of the season, Stoner, your quarterback must make plays to win you the game. Do not turn the football over, and you will have to convert on third downs. Which quarterback will show up? Which quarterback will have the game of their life? That's who's going to win this game. I got to be in Georgia.
And Riley Leonard, he's been very efficient and hot as of late, connecting on almost 75% of his passes over the course of the last 3 games. So Leonard is coming in with some confidence. Clearly,
not one team that they've been thrown against had the same players they've had. This one they will.
Georgia, they have won 7 straight postseason games. Their last loss, where they're about to play, the Sugar Bowl, 2019. Their last postseason loss, and it came to Texas. And again, right now, Georgia, a slim favorite over Notre Dame in that quarterfinal showdown.
What's that line, Stoner?
1.5.
1.5? Wow.
1.5. You guys both like Georgia to cover?
Ooh. 1.5? Wow.
I'm going to go Georgia cover.
Yeah, Georgia's going to cover.
Close, though, man.
Don't let Brady Quinn hear it.
Brady's not going to be happy about it.
No, he's not.
I'll tell you, man, Stoner, I just got this belief in Kirby, man. I just believe Kirby is going to have his team ready to play.
And for good reason.
Yeah.
For good reason. He's proven it. He's proven it over and over again. And again, Georgia has never lost to Notre Dame. 3-0 all time, including 2-0 under Kirby Smart.